I made a Connect 4 minigame that never has to be restocked. Using the falling block sorting method from my last video, this Connect 4 game is capable of automatically resetting itself by putting each color tile back into the appropriate stack. So just like with a classic Connect 4 game, two players compete to get 4 of their own color tile in a row. Each time a player hits a button, the turn indicator on the left swaps to the other player's color, indicating whose turn it is now. Then, when one of you wins, you can reset the game by hitting the button over here, and the game pieces will fall through the floor, where they start being pushed down to the piston staircase, and then using slime blocks, they get tossed all the way back up to the very top of the game, where they get sorted back into each stack. I should note that there is a visual glitch that makes it appear like the concrete powder is falling back down, but in reality, everything is continually being tossed up just as it should be. Now, to explain the way the button panel actually works. Depending on what button you press, it will detect a certain signal strength that comes into it. It inverts it in this module, and then it sends the signal out to one of these two player lines, where the signal degrades again over this redstone wire, and then it comes into what we call a red coder. So this basically converts whatever signal strength that comes into it back into the appropriate piston that we want to fire. So for example, if the signal strength is a 1, the first piston will fire. If it's 2, the second piston will fire, and so on. One of the cool things about this machine is that it is actually spam proof in 2 different ways. First off, if we were to spam the input buttons like this, you'll see that only the first button drops a piece of concrete powder. If I wait for the button to unpress, and then I spam the inputs again, now it only drops 1 block of the other color, so it's not going to drop multiple blocks if you spam it. The second way it's spam proof is that if I were to reset the game, then play another game and reset that one while the machine is still moving the previous game's concrete powder, it will stop the machine for a moment to let the new game pieces drop, and then it continues moving the concrete powder as expected. So all in all, it should work in such a way that prevents any concrete powder from breaking and turning back into an item. Alright, so now that you've seen it, let's get into the tutorial. First off, I need to mention that this machine does not work in Bedrock, it's only for Java. There will be a world and schematic download in the description, so if you want to build it off the Lightmatica schematic, that will be the easiest option, but if you don't want to do that, I'll show you block by block just how to build it here. In total, this machine takes up a 19 long by 13 wide by 50 tall area, with the space below the button panel taking up 19 blocks, and the space including the button panel and above it going 31 blocks. Assuming you want to start off at ground level, you'll first want to dig a 16 long by 6 wide by 19 block deep pit. Then, here are the materials you'll need, so feel free to pause the video here and come back after you've gone and collected these. Note that the color of the concretes is completely up to you, and you could even simply use just sand and gravel if you wanted to. Now, I've gone ahead and made a 12 by 5 main game platform at ground level here, and we're going to start by placing our button panel. So come over here, place 12 blocks in a row like this, then place 7 buttons, and another button right here. Next, come to the bottom, come 4 blocks away from the wall like this, and follow what I'm doing, making sure to set each repeater to 2 ticks. Next, you're going to come 5 blocks up the wall right here and start placing blocks in a staircase until you get to here. Then place redstone and place regular pistons next to each block. Next, place a sticky piston down here and an observer facing the wall. Place a repeater and set it to 3 ticks, and place these blocks and some redstone. Come down to the bottom, go up 1 block from here, and place an observer facing out. Then place an observer coming down out of that one. Place some more blocks, redstone, and a piston here. Then come up 2 blocks and place a piece of obsidian. Place another temporary block here, then make a pillar of 6 obsidian. Next, we're going to build another redstone staircase like so. Place observers next to each piston, facing forward. Then place iron bars in front of each of them. Once we've done that, we can test it with a sand block, and you'll see that it works just as it should. Now, let's go back up here, and let's place an additional 6 blocks in a staircase fashion. Go out like this, and make a small platform. Then, we're going to build a line under here, right underneath the button panel. Place some redstone dust, a comparator, then place another redstone dust and a target block. This is where our reset button is. Place a repeater going out of the target block, 2 comparators and some redstone like this, and then place a repeater on 4 ticks and place redstone all the way down. Come back up, place a target block here, and put a torch on top. Place 8 building blocks coming away from that, and you should have a 2 block gap at the end. Then let's place 7 target blocks like this, and 7 sticky pistons attached to those. We'll place our sea lanterns and some redstone, and this will be what holds up our game pieces. Now, let's place some blocks on the sides, and then we'll build up 19 blocks from here. Once you get to the top, place an obsidian on either side of the pillar. We'll do the same on the other side, building up 19 blocks, but no obsidian. Come down to the bottom, and let's start placing our 7 wide by 6 tall backboard of light gray concrete. Once that's done, place another 7 gray concrete on top of that. Now we can fill out the main panel a little bit more, like this. Then let's place 6 glass and redstone going up like this. Then place some more glass and redstone, place some target blocks, a repeater on 2 ticks, and a comparator in subtract mode. Place a block out front, an observer here going downward, and a redstone dust on top. Next, let's place our 2 sticky pistons right here, with red on bottom and blue out and on top like this. Then place some more redstone, and the pistons should toggle back and forth each time that this redstone dust gets updated. Now place some blocks like this, 2 comparators in subtract mode, and another comparator facing into this one. Place a redstone block here, and here, and place an observer facing out of this comparator. Place 2 blocks, a redstone dust, and a sticky piston on each side. Place 2 blocks here and a redstone dust on top. Now let's build a shape like this. Place a comparator, 7 pieces of redstone, and another comparator. We'll do the same on the other side, placing the comparator on the redstone block, then building another line of blocks and redstone like this. Now, coming out from here, we're going to go 8 blocks, stopping where the game board stops, then place some more redstone. Place 7 target blocks here with redstone torches on the sides. Then place a comparator in subtract mode and 6 repeaters. Place some blocks here, a block with a comparator, and place a barrel with a single item inside it. Place some more torches on the sides of these blocks, and under them place some obsidian, and then place your line of 7 pistons. We're now going to do the same exact red coater on the other side. And once you've done that, go ahead and place a block in front of this sticky piston and a block here above the comparator. Next, let's start placing our concrete powder. So on the back side, we'll have red, and on the front side, we'll have blue. Go ahead and fill that in all the way to the top. Then we're going to come out 4 blocks here and 3 blocks here. Place an iron bar and an observer, then your redstone dust and a piston. Go ahead and place another blue concrete powder here and an iron bar setup. We're going to build this same setup a few times. Make sure to place a glass block here. Place an obsidian here, and place an obsidian here. Come up a block from this piston and place some glass, then build a shape like this. Place a target block, and place some redstone like so. Build a glass staircase with some redstone, place a block with a repeater on it, and place a comparator on the top layer. Place a sticky piston and a block pointing down, another sticky piston, a wall, an observer facing that wall, and redstone on top. Place a piston pointing down, another block, and an observer. Place another sticky piston pointing down, and then a piston like this. Do not place any concrete powder here yet. We'll come back to it in a second. Place 3 blocks like this and a piston. This will be another iron bar setup. Place a wall here, an observer, a redstone, and a piston. Place some observers like this, and a sticky piston facing like this. Place a block here, some redstone, and a note block. Place some trapdoors and some scaffolding. Then place 5 observers like this. An observer here, a piston and another observer, a sticky piston like this, and another piston. Then let's place an observer facing this note block, and you should hear one of the pistons fire. Go ahead and place in your blue concrete powder, and also place a single block up here. Now we're going to start building the concrete powder elevator. Place a sticky piston on top of this obsidian, a slime block, and place a floating string right here. This is what will detect the concrete powder entity coming by. We're going to place some more blocks and make sure each repeater is on 2 ticks. Place a sticky piston facing up, another slime block, and a block over here. Now we're going to build up exactly 9 blocks. Then place a string on top. We're going to build a few of these concrete powder tossers, so just do exactly what I do in the video, with repeaters on 2 ticks each. Go up another 9 blocks and place another string, then build another module like so. Then build up another 9 blocks, place another string, and this module will be slightly different, so pay careful attention. Go up another 9 blocks and place another string. Place an observer facing out this way. And this will trigger the piston on top of this block, bouncing the concrete powder to the final point at the top where it gets sorted. Now let's go back down and make sure these 2 white concretes are in these positions. And then make sure you have blue concrete out on top here and a red concrete in the back on the bottom. You can now place 2 wool here, or whatever solid block you want, and start testing out the completed system. As a final touch, you can start filling in the walls, decorating the area, and maybe even putting some lights in the ceiling. One final note, you may want to consider enclosing the machine, not only to protect it from mobs, but also to simply protect anything from interfering with the string signals. So that's the signals that detect the concrete powder coming through. So you want to prevent anything from interfering with those, because if the machine is currently tossing the concrete powder up, then that can break the machine. It's also important to stay in the area and not leave the chunks while the game is resetting, otherwise it could break. So just make sure to stick around until you stop hearing any piston noises. And that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.